Orange County, Chapel Hill.
Bergen Watterson County, Chapel Hill.
Smart, City of Durham. Ellen Beckman, Durham County.
Caroline Dwyer, Chapel Hill Transit.
Eric Vitale, City of Durham.
Chinsky, Triangle West.
Town of Hillsborough.
Jack Eversole Robinson, Town of Carrboro.
Durham County, Durham City County Planning.
Surfing out of Durham County.
David Miller, Triangle West.
Colleen McGee, Triangle West.
Solomon Fasatian, Triangle West. Yankton Down, Triangle West.
Tom Porter, Triangle West.
Beth Seidel, Triangle West.
Monet Moore, Triangle West.
Tasha Johnson, City of Durham.
Oh, Wagner Triangle. She Barrett into DOT.
Durham Koski, NCDOT, Division 7.
Joe Geigley, Federal Highway.
Thank you. Any adjustments to the agenda? No adjustments to the agenda. Any public comments today?
We did not receive any signups in advance.
Perfect. On a consent agenda is just the meeting minutes from the January 14th, 2025 technical committee meeting. Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
So
I'll move by Becca. Second, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by who is Matt?
Yep.
Matt. All in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. First action item, the fiscal year 2024-2033 Transportation Improvement Program updates, and that will be Philmon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Solomon Fasatian. And so for this month, we can check the updates. We have our amendment number 6, which we aim to release for public comment throughout the month of March. This amendment is one of our last for the cycle, and it contains some fund swaps, some August redistribution, as well as some other minor changes, such as additional funding or changing the sponsor. They don't have any questions as to this amendment. And also just like to note, one change in here, there are funds there are transit funds being moved from previous years for both Orange County Public Transit and Go Triangle. We are currently working out the details as far as documentation for those. So that's why on the summary sheet, it is more generalized. But additional details on the projects that we're going towards will be added on there.
Just a general question, any of this impacted by the current uncertainty with the federal funding?
As far as
So we gotta take that on.
Yeah.
The short answer is no. We don't believe there's been any change. We've not been informed of any changes from the dedicated federal transportation programs run through Federal Highways and Federal Transit Administration. We of course are in communication with the Federal Highways regularly to understand that. In short, it seems as if the programs we're used to operating within, like Surface Transportation Block Grant, National Highway System, Interstate Maintenance, Safety. There's around 20 core programs that are authorized for federal transportation dollars in the IIJA, the Authorization Act. And barring a change to that legislation or a budget reduction in the annual appropriations, then that's still the pipeline for continuing it. So I think Congress will have to change in a big way if we're going to see a significant impact. Although we are trying to stay attuned to what the new administration's priorities are. Is that helpful?
Yeah,
Enough of an answer.
Thank you for clarifying.
Some comment from Nish online.
And just to add to what Doug is saying, the best answer to federal government's uncertainty is by us making decisions, like getting things obligated, getting things approved and amended by making our decisions. I mean, it would be helping us address that uncertainty. So we really appreciate NPO for helping us get through these amendment processes and getting this done on our end. So whatever happens in the federal end, we'll know more later, but thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to echo, the appreciation for the MPO for trying to keep us better informed on the item ends, but they sometimes seem to disappear through the cracks. Any other questions, comments, or concerns about this particular item? The action for this one is for a recommendation for the MPO board to release for public comment. Can I get a motion for that?
So move Paul Black.
Moved by Paul,
Second.
second by Aaron. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, Fillmore. You get the next item as well, the spot local input points methodology release for public comment.
While that's being set up, just to preface this, for anyone that did not receive the update today, we have decided to finalize these documents just based off of feedback we've gotten so far, as well as just to increase transparency to the public as far as elements of the plan that they can more easily comprehend. Just to make the plan simpler for them to digest and such. And so from our overarching methodology, we have kind of separated into methodology just for selecting projects, and then a separate methodology for assigning local points, which we'll do in the fall. Get into this, just to kind of recap from P7, we did receive large number of responses, requests from our members for the bike and ped categories. Both mode each had around 50 submissions, around half for each were new submissions, as opposed to what's already existing in the holding tank carryover. And so from the large amount of requests that we received, we did narrow down each mode to 24 submissions and presented these to the public as far as the list of projects that we intend to go forward with. And then just commenting on our process following that in the fall, that's kind of when we normally would put out our local methodology, which outlines the schedules and processes for entire spot process, as well as engagement. So just noting how this was kind of backwards in terms of asking the public for input on a process after the fact. Kind of decided to move this up ahead, as well as just anticipating additional time needed for the preliminary review, just to narrow down our limit to those 24 submissions. So as far as official updates go, we have not heard anything yet from the spot group as far as P8. Aside from the schedule, that's kind of the only confirmed information we have at this time. And so we're moving forward based off our experiences from P7. So not really major change to the schedule from last time. It seems condensed now just because with P7, there were changes throughout the process that delayed certain phases. And so what you see here is kind of how the intended schedule should be. Yes.
On this schedule, and I'm put you on the spot, but do we have a good idea on when we get the projections for what will be available for grant funding? For P8? If we're approving methodologies June of this year at the Board of Transportation, are they going to be approving, an idea of how much money will be involved in the next round of programming?
What I call with P7, that information is available earlier on in the information that they release. One thing to note with that is even during P7, it was a constantly changing number. And so that's just something to keep in mind.
Thank you.
And it kept going down. It didn't go up.
We'll think optimistically.
Sort of along those lines about the funding just going down, down, down. This is a little off topic, but since the last time we met, Philmon, you sent the email with the STIP results. And surely noting that not a single division level project was funded this time. We had under the impression, at least the Division 7, there was enough funding. We went through all of that. Do we have any idea what happened between then and now?
Not us, I do have plan to follow with Division 7, just because that is where the big mystery is. Just where, when it was last reported, there was a surplus equal to what Division 6 had, yet the results show something completely different. So we yourselves do not know what came down to it, but I will.
I can shed a little light. So many of our projects that were estimates were updated, and those estimates went, they were significantly higher. So that is where the majority of that went in the last 6 to 9 months. We've been updating estimates, and it just kept eating away at that funding.
Okay.
Thank you for that. They've had soon something along the lines of the impact with North Carolina had an impact, but it's good to know that as well. While we're here, any other questions going to the schedule and when you might see things? Great, just more to the presentation.
Is there a particular reason why we're getting the local input point methodology draft so early? I mean, it's pretty early in the process compared to, what I'm used to, and that's why.
Compared to what we've done in the past, yes, just because as part of the methodology, it outlines how we select projects. It seems backwards to ask public input on how we select them after we've already selected them, which is why I initiated this at this point, a little earlier than we usually do, and also why I ultimately divided it into 2 different policies. So right now, we are just releasing a methodology for selecting new projects to be released for public input, not ranking them or applying public input points at this time.
So the MPO essentially has until June to ask the state if they potentially could revise anything, if there was something that the MPO is interested in revising with the criteria or with the methodology specifically.
Well, criteria methodology. So we're looking at a methodology. I believe what you're referring to are the criteria that were used to assign local input points, which is no longer a part of this documentation as a whole. That'll come later on in the fall. Just before this period, just to align with the local input point.
Okay.
Period in the cycle.
Eric, are you asking about how we can alter the criteria at the regional and division level? Like we can say take points out of, when does that happen?
Yeah, for like the highway mobility project specifically,
That's in the fall.
Okay.
We have another online comment.
It's just a quick question. Your window, the spot online window opens July through September. So the MPO board will need to make their decisions on what projects to submit by June. So you would need everybody's stuff, all that done by April or May, working backwards from your submission, the board's approval.
Last year, we made that decision, I thought in October was when we did our final adoption.
Yes, October is the date set here for when projects are submitted to Spot Online.
Okay.
What you see is the beginning of when to estimate the window for Spot Online will open. But we've already heard updates from this year that it'll most likely be delayed similar to last year or last cycle.
Okay, just trying to work backwards, see when you need material from us and the board needs to make the approval. That's all. Thank you.
Tillman, can you reconfirm the schedule again, for Nish? I think that's what he was asking.
Yeah. I need to pull up the methodology itself, but it does have in there when the TC expected to kind of deliberate over the list. And one thing I did mention in the email is that since we have not yet received the carryover and voting tank official list that they put out, that's one of the main things waiting for to be able to set up the subgroups, these subcommittees, to further look over and deliberate these lists.
Yeah, because once the projects are submitted in October through April, that's when DOT does their scoring. We're not submitting in October, are we? Because from this schedule, it looks like October through April, data review and scoring, that's when DOT closes your Spot Online tool and starts doing their math.
So October is when MPO's deadline to submit projects to Spot Online. We are
Okay.
hashing this better than just to be able to have that time for review for both the public and the TC for lists.
So we'll
Thank
be releasing our list for public comment over the summer.
Yes, just to work around the summer where we don't have a meeting, and also with this calendar year, we also added May as a on vacation month for you guys on the board. So just working around the meeting dates in that way as well. So going into kind of what you're requesting right now is when we are asking for the new submissions to be submitted to us. Like I mentioned earlier, just with the amount of requests that we received last cycle to be preliminary sorted for submissions, we are just asking the information we submitted now just allows the time to be able to present to you guys the list that we believe would be the best 24 candidates to be submitted, as well as this time for NC time delivery amongst themselves. And so on the spreadsheet that I sent out, even though I had a list of 1 to 10, that's just kind of to give you guys a head start. There is no set number to the number of requests that you may submit. We're all submitting for multiple modes. And just noting, just our own MPO requirements, this isn't required by the state DOT, but our own MPO requirements for projects to also be included or also aligned with our TP. Because as we know, not all projects are not all explicitly stated within the APP, just as says bike credit projects and other operational improvements. So in cases where it's not explicitly stated and you're not sure, you could also submit it to us and we can kind of evaluate on a case by case basis. And so we are asking for new submissions to be submitted to us by March 14th. This is just for us to be able to stay on this is our cycle schedule with deadlines, but we are willing to work with our members if needed. And then just pointing out some key dates as far as this methodology. Initially being released to public right now, we're also asking for input from you guys at TC. If you have any comments on anything within the document, we're asking those be submitted to us by March 7th, just to be able to incorporate those when the document is ultimately approved. And then, like I said, just listing out what is already in the methodology. Right now, just some highlights of when things go on in April, approval of this methodology, as well as the TC initial review, not just at a TC meeting, but that's most likely when the subcommittee meeting will convey, and ultimately go out in June to the public for our public comment period in July. Any other points?
I'd just like to add one more thing that happens kind of behind the scenes. When a MPO or RPO submits alterations to its local input point methodology, there's a working group of planning organizations across the state. Obviously, not all of them, but several of us get together, review in consultation with NCDOT the changes, and we make sure that they don't run foul of any of the provisions of the STI law, and that they're clear, and everybody can understand that they're focusing on more data-driven results and less on opinionated ideas. So that does happen. That's part of that build-in time to the input point methodology. By doing it early, we get sort of at the front of the queue. So we'll get the sign off faster rather than fingering around towards the end. Some of the other POs did in spot 7 and generated, less time to adjust as we didn't see.
Thank you for bringing that up. One of the first things they do ask for whenever information is released is the approval of our. So it'd be just great to have this prepared for them.
Any other questions, comments, concerns about this?
So comments by March 7th. on the methodology. And the actual submission of projects is March 14th.
So those are just for new submissions that have not been spot in the past, just since we haven't received the carryover reporting fee. We're asking for new submissions by then, just to be able to evaluate them across other polling tank and carryover projects once we do receive those. But the final submission of what we'll be submitting won't be approved by a board until August.
The action for this particular item is just to release for public comment at this time. Can I have a motion? Moved by Becca,
Second.
second by Aaron, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, Belmont. The next item is public participation plan, another release for public comment. That's Monet.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monet. I am with the Triangle West Transportation Planning Organization, and I am here to present the public participation plan, which the key item for you all today is to approve or recommend for a release to our board, and so we can release it for public comments. All right, thank you. So just a brief overview of what we'll cover today will be the background, which was formerly referred to as the PIP or the Public Involvement Policy. We'll go over the goals and objectives of the public participation plan that you all received, and then we'll also go over some of those key changes within the document. So a little bit of background. So before we get into what the public participation plan entails, let's talk a little bit about what the public involvement plan entailed. So here you see that the public involvement plan was adopted in 2021, and it identified some of the key items of planning activities that require public involvement, guidelines for determining the level of public involvement needed for various planning activities, minimum and advanced notification guidelines for various planning activities, the length of public input periods, communication and engagement methods that the MPO can use to solicit feedback during all stages of the plan, program, or project development, how the MPO would respond to public comments, and then major decision points for plans and studies that require public involvement. So for the public participation plan, what we decided to do is that we identified some of our key goals of this plan. And so you'll see here, our key goals are to communicate and collaborate, which includes objectives of share clear information, collaborate with agencies. We also intend to build trust. We do that by including everyone. We focus on equity, we ensure accessibility, and then also improving methods in regards to how we review and improve our processes. We'll use different tools. We want to make it visual. We want things that are enticing, things that our public are going to read. Again, using various tools that we have at our hands, whether that be graphic design, whether that be community visualizations, just a mix of things that we're able to do. And then engage meaningfully, which means we're going to listen and respond. We want to start early and we want to stay engaged within our community. So as you're reading the public participation plan, you'll notice that it may look a lot different from other documents that you've received from our organization. That's going to go to one of the key things that we've heard as we're collecting feedback, as we engage with our board members. And so our first key change is that our use of and commitment to using plain language, because this is a public participation plan. This serves as a contract between us and the public and how they can engage with us and how we're going to engage with them. So we want everyone to be able to understand it, no matter who's reading it, that it's something accessible to them. Another key change that you see is identifying and categorizing key stakeholders. So over the past year, just kind of looking at what best practices are across the industry, we also kind of took a look at in regards to how NCDOT is updating their processes. So for instance, as a part of the CTP process 2.0, we were asked to identify stakeholders, and we recognize that's something that could be valuable to make sure that we're engaged in our community, we're continuing to connect with them, and we all know who they are. One of the other key changes is prioritizing meaningful engagement. The previous PIP or public involvement policy kind of listed things in regards to how many followers we have on Twitter, how many people are engaging with us on Facebook. And while those are all really good metrics, the purpose of this plan is more so to focus on how are we incorporating the feedback that we're getting from our public? How is it meaningful to us? How are we showing commitment that we're listening and we're responsive? So some other key changes includes details how members of the public can participate, whether it's via email, social media, coming to our meetings, or other events that we're hosting. Secondly, we simplified the public comments period. In our public PIP, we had a chart that detailed certain things were 7 days, other things were 21, other things were 30 or 45. So making sure we're able to streamline some of those processes. So there's an expectation or a standard in regards to how long we're going to be accepting public comments across these different major plans and core documents that we open to public comment. And then lastly, what you'll see is that we've adopted a social media policy and an emergency policy. These are two of the things that if we are using social media more, we want to make sure that we're operating in those spaces in a place of respect. And then lastly, the emergency policy, as things change in our world, we want to be able to adapt to them. So our anticipated schedule as it relates to the public participation plan, we're here today presenting it to you all. We'll present it to our board on February 25th in order to open the public comment period. We're expecting that public comment period will run from February 25th until April 11th. Our current PIP says that it has to be open for at least 45 days. And then we'll bring it back here to you all with comments that we've received from the public to get you all feedback, incorporating those public comments. And so that we're anticipating to be April 8th. And so this is the request that we have, recommendation to the TPO board to release the public participation plan for public comments. And then I will be here to take any questions.
Yeah, feedback are you expecting from the public on this? And if there are, say, major changes that the public is asking for that TPO is going to make, is that going to be like re-released to the public for another look, or in the event that there were major changes?
So if there are any major changes, I would expect that we would take that back to the public. We're going to continue to collect feedback on this up until we kind of have like a firm cutoff date. But for the major things that we would be looking for is, one, is it something that everyone understands? That's our whole commitment to using plain language. Two, does it provide the resources that our general public needs in order to be able to have access to us and the plans and documents and things that we produce? And then three, I think our biggest element of this that we would like feedback on is when you're looking through the report and we talk about how do we measure the success of public engagement and public involvement. And the key word here is like meaningful, is we want the public to know that we're incorporating what they say, we're considering what they say, and we're having dialogue around it. So I think, again, that's kind of the key feedback that we want. Are we going enough, but are we doing that in a way that doesn't put a strain on the organizations and our staff?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I could just add to, like, as we get that feedback, we're really gonna rely on our partners here at the TC and your expertise working within your communities and your systems to weigh in on, you know, the right level of response and adjustment on some of that input. You know, we don't want it to be just everything's on the door, go ahead with what you want to do. We want it to be a good discussion and to respond to a level that everyone's comfortable.
Fair.
Just a note, you may want to review the legal framework section. I think some of the executive orders referenced there have been rescinded.
Yes, so that's correct. So you'll see in our legal framework, we have the Title VI Civil Rights Act. We also have one of the executive orders that basically lays down the foundation for environmental justice. And another one of the executive orders listed kind of lays down that framework for our Justice 40 communities. So we have made a note of kind of what's being rescinded by this current administration, and we're prepared to respond accordingly.
Okay. I think that even though the executive orders have rescinded it, we've not received direction from our partners at Federal Highway or FTA exactly how to approach that. So hopefully at some point in our work, we'll have that dialogue and we'll get instruction, direction on how to do so. Because there are executive orders that are in place that were not rescinded that still address some of those same issues.
When, because the jurisdictions haven't gotten a chance to review in depth and provide comments on this, when would you like those by?
Preferably as soon as possible, but you all
Okay.
can give us comments up until the public comment period. And then again, we'll be bringing it back for you or to you after the public comment period ends.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, oh, go ahead.
We move to release it for public comment? What you're looking for?
Yeah.
It's okay, I'm
Yes.
move to release it.
Moved by Paul, second by Don, sorry, excuse me, pardon me, Don. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Monet.
Thank you.
The next item is Destination 2055 Deficiency and Needs, Yan Payne. Last question.
Good afternoon, everyone. This presentation is about result from our first scenario analysis. It's baseline scenario called deficiency and need analysis for 2055 NTP. That's a framework and schedules for technical and modeling work. So the official one, including technical and public engagement, schedules and process will be in the next presentation. Monet will give general descriptions about schedule and process. So this focus on the modeling and technical part. So we done this deficiency analysis January, actually early February. And then we will start alternative analysis and evaluation. Afterwards, after the technical work and the public comments and all the comments from you, we will develop preferred options and into the model. And then after preferred scenario, it goes to the final NTP. With adjustment or without adjustment. So the purpose of this step, deficiency analysis, to ensure our staff, TC member, board member, and publics understand the process, understand the deficiency and performance. And we also looking forward to receive the comments or feedbacks from you, from publics and board members. So what is deficiency analysis? Generally, it's a baseline scenario for 2050 for the MTP studies. So we are looking the future population and job growth in the 30 years. That means 2055, and then it generate demands for transportation facility and service. So we will load this demands onto the transportation facility to find out performance measure deficiency and use that as a starting point for the MTP work. So generally for the transportation service and network of facilities, we use existing past committed scenarios. When talking about committed, so Temple and us has not very same definition of it. So we are at a conservative side. Typically, when we see a project, the fund is guaranteed, we typically take it as a committed project. Like the I-40 in Orange County Biden,
That's a committed project. So the third thing is all the performance measure, deficiency maps, and other related document will have similar things and formats in the following scenario: alternative scenarios, final preferred options, and final MTP. So all three. So this scenario starting point give everyone opportunities to familiar with the process and the measures. So this is a socio-economic data forecast. The population generally is from county total population is from the Office of State Budget and Management Office. So generally the population by each county, we get it from there. Matrix group doing the allocation, gross allocation by use a land use model. It's called community rates. Allocate to each small piece of land. Then we gather it into the travel demand model for the traffic analysis. So then we have a total job. The job forecasting is from a trusted consultant firm. They publish this forecasting by sectors each year. So it helps us to get these numbers, and then we can allocate to a small piece of land. So we use this in the previous, it's called weights and pools. We use this in previous MTP as well. So you can see for the job, its largest growth is in Chatham County, followed by Durham County. And the growth is really larger. For the population, also compared with other area, it's large, but compared with job growth, it's relatively lower. In other words, the job growth outpace the population growth. You can see, for example, the total here is 47 for population, 85, while 85% growth for the job. So when we're talking about present result, the measures and efficiency maps should be read for this whole presentation. So generally indicator is mobility, performance, mode share, travel volume like VMT, VHT, and PMT. PMT is passenger, bus passenger or transit passenger, mail travel. And then we have a corridor measures. So measure this by each corridor, similar like what we did in the congestion management process. So the lower level is in the network. For each segment, we have performance measures. This regional level, at the TPO level, the measures for VMT. You can see VMT has a 41% increase. VHT more 58, and PMT bus passenger miles is 87, is the largest one. So compared with car traffic, we have more passengers. For this PMT, VHT, you can see the growth of the VHT outpaces the VMT. That means increase of the congestion. So it's the same mile increase, you have more times you have to spend on this increased miles. That means more congested. So it's understand because this scenario is just start line. We only have the baseline condition. It's existing plus committed project. So it creates a congested situation in this scenario. So these are mode share result for the whole TPO area. So base year, we get base year numbers there, 2020 from the model, travel demand model, triangle regional model. The single drive is about 50%, 37% is share ride. Transit about 3%, almost 3%. And bike and ped is almost 10%. So the bike and ped data in the model is kind of distorted. So maybe due to a technical reason and a travel survey. So we visit streetlight data, we use streetlight data to post-processing this model result, get this current bike and ped trips there and share. That's for the base year. For the future year, you can see a single drive mode get little bit decreased. Same for the share ride and the transit increase. Bike and ped is increased as well. So that's a current result. So the bike and ped is about 11.2% in the 2055. So the model can generate not only at regional level result, but also down to detail to the roadway segments, to the traffic analysis zones. So this each small units are traffic analysis zones. So all color highlight traffic zones. It has trips, bus trips over 100 daily. So this bus trip is not a traditional way to say the bus trip is based on the home and work locations. In other words, you have a trip outside your, going outside your home to other place and going back. All these two trips are counted at your home location. Similar things we counted for the workplace. So that's the way we count the trip, the model count the trip. Or trip productions. Next level is corridor level. We did some exercisement and in the congestion management process. So volume over capacity ratios is one of the common used measures to identify deficiency. So this one, we use it at a corridor level. We have a 20 or 22 corridor predefined in the congestion management. We still use it and carry over to this MTP process. So this is the top 10 volume over capacity, average volume over capacity ratio for this corridor. This is top 10. Number one is US 70 East in Durham County. This is a current model format like this. US 70 East is the first high volume ratio corridor. Second one is I-85 South in Orange County. The third one is I-40 East in Durham County, or even longer into close to the Orange County borderland. That's third one, then followed by I-40 West. Yeah, that's the volume VC ratio by corridors.
And was that base year?
This is sorry, this is 2055.
Oh.
2055, yeah. So the second corridor measures is travel time index. Our staff did some reformat of the TTR travel time index. So for example, the original one here is 1.84, but staff changed it to 84% in order for the publics to quickly keep the number. What it means for the US East 7 corridors, you have to take 84% more times to travel from beginning to the end. The 84 extra is based on the free fall travel time. So free fall travel time in general means you can drive on that corridor without almost no interruptions, and you can drive with very small traffic there. There's a special definition called no congestion at all. preferred time. So this is average travel time for the time of day. The highest one has to take 84% more times to travel on this corridor. That's US 70 East. Second similar is I-85 South. The third is I-40 East. It's 57, almost 60% more time. That's a travel time index measure. This is more frequently used maps. It's called a tomato map. We call it when the volume on roadway segment, when the volume over capacity more than one or equal or more than one, typically we show a red, like the green light, we show a red stop. And if there are problematic location over 0.9, we may show yellow, but this one we use a different color. And if the problem is almost not there, based on the listen ratio, typically in the past we show green, but based on the current photos, we have to take consideration of a color blind people. So we change the color, change the green to different colors. That's a so-called tomato map. This is a 2021 from the model result directly, daily volume frequency ratio. So it shows us problems on I-40 East in Durham counties. So this one is 2055. You can still see more serious issues on the I-40 East. And going north from I-40 is I-885 Durham Freeway. It's showing red all the way to the eastern end connector. And in the downtown area, there are a couple of locations of Durham Freeway still show red. And for the Orange County, you can see I-85 South is red. By the way, the Orange County I-40 and I-85 was strongly impacted by volume MPO, BGMPO's result. So we are still trying to get contact with them to coordinate on the west end of the model to make a reasonable assumptions for this model. So their volume increase or down. In other words, whether they want to widen their I-85, I-40 from 8 line to 10 line, or even more, will impact our volume directly. That's the highest external station which in all the triangle region, not only Triangle West, but also Campo, including Campo. This is very highest one. Compared with second highest is about 80,000 in 2055. That's current forecasting. And this external station is almost 200,000 traffic daily volume then. The current forecasting. We haven't get this coordination process done. I think in the preferred scenario, it will show the coordination result. This is a new measure we introduced for the transit this time. Like car traffic volume, we have a passenger volume over seated capacity. We can do a passenger volume over a service mile, number of service, but it's not easy for people to pick up it quickly. So this one, the seated capacity means for each link daily, how many bus seat travel through these segments, and what's your passenger volume. So typically the threshold is 1.5. If over 1.5 means extremely congested, you need more bus service. Over 1 can be considered as in poor locations for bus transit. And under 1 is depend. So that's volume, like the car traffic volume is for bus this time. By the way, for the bike and the ped trips, we are still working on measures. to show in this MTP is not fully done because the model has some distortions. We have to use streetlight data for adjustment. We will make this adjustment and then develop methods for correction. This is typical maps, time icons, time rings. The destination is downtown Durham. The period is AM period from 6 to 9. And the largest range shows the area it covers for people or residents to drive to downtown Durham within 30 minutes. The middle range area covers range area shows the residents living there need 20 minutes in the morning. And the inside hall range means 10 minutes. So that's all the result. Right now, the result, just Monday morning this week, we get the final result. We will publish all this result more online before the board meeting this month. This is a temporary maps we just host online. The result is similar, but the holding location may not be the NPO. And it's also not convenient maybe for you to access it. You need to double click, first click onto the web page, and then click the map view and you get the map. So, and we will have more maps, tables, and dashboard online before the board meeting this month. So that's all of the presentations. Any questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna, oh, go ahead, you can go first.
Well, this might be other people's question too, but why was 2020 used as a baseline?
2020, typically every 4 years we do the model update. So the 2020 is just fall on the 4-year points.
It's still
Yeah.
not the best year.
Same as the census data and census data, yeah. That's not special. Could be 2019 and 2021. We pick the 2020. There's another reason is, you know, COVID has big impact on in the area, the traffic, right? If you use 2020 traffic counts, it shows unreasonable lower volumes. So generally we use the first quarter as 2020 and later fall data, traffic data from 2019 from this 2020 model.
Well, that would definitely be better than using later in 2020.
Yeah, so in the past, we do a base year model and then do a base year MTP. This time, because of time resources, we just use the model base year as MTP base year. But in the future, if necessary, we can consider more close to the current year as MTP base year, which is independent to the model base year.
Isn't there also, so we're calling it 2020 base, and that's when the model's validated, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's, the information is at that point in time, it's leading up to that point in time. So it includes 2019 counts.
Okay.
And
That's going to be your first question. That's going to be a lot of people's first question. When they see 2020, they're going to, some eyes are going to open up.
That's a good question.
When they see that year.
Yeah. That's related to whether we need an MTP base year in the future or not. Thank you.
You go first.
So on the map of passengers per seated capacity, I'm not that familiar with this. And I just wanted to make sure I understood it because it's striking, right? It's striking the red line from Durham to RTP. What accounts for that? Like looking into the numbers, what?
These numbers, if it shows red, the passenger numbers over the total seats across that segments over 1.5. So that means you have one seat, you have 1.5 person on this link, passenger through this link.
And the width of the line represents the number of kind of buses.
And say that's over 1.5. This is less than 1.5, but bigger than 1, yellow.
Yeah. Well, are these results surprising to anyone? Because I don't know.
It's only.
Frankly, it's surprising
It
comparing
seems
with
a little
last month.
surprising compared to like 15501 or.
Yes, but I'm a little confused by the metric, I think,
55 on.
and the scale. Like, what does this compare to like other, you know?
I think this is a good question, Yanping. So if I remember from our discussions, it literally is the number of seats on the bus that's in the fleet, not the number of. And then, so that's multiplied by the headways and frequency.
Number of service.
Right, so if you're 1.5, then you're expecting standing riders.
Yeah.
So it may be that what we're envisioning for this corridor is not that that red corridor has more riders than the other ones. It's that what's proposed with the frequency and the vehicle aren't meeting the expected passenger demand, and that's how that's measured. Not that that's the busiest segment in our transportation network.
Yeah, so like the thickness of the line represents
That means
the.
the volume. You see, the
of-
wide means more
seats.
volumes, passenger volume on these segments. Narrow means less volume. It could show some red with narrow volume there because less number of service for them.
Uh-huh. And where, I guess, bus lines overlap, are they
They add up
added
together.
together?
Add up together for DRX here on Dome Freeway and 700, they add up together.
Okay. Well, it's striking,
I
like how red it is on this particular corridor.
So is there supposed to be a green line on the legend, like 0 to 0.5?
It's a 0 to 0.5. We cut it because the size of the map. Not make the size larger. That's a good question. Thank you. We may get a full legend in the public comment online. Not only this good question.
What are you releasing? Like just the slides or like some documentation to go with it to explain more about the images?
So you can see it again.
What else are what are you releasing for public comment? Like, will there be documentation?
Just these things or these maps and also the performance measures earlier. By corridor, all these are proposed to release online. Yeah, all these are proposed to release online.
Okay, I think just some of it needs a little more explanation than just.
Yeah,
the
we will have
visuals.
explanations, text like we did in the previous MTP.
Okay, and I did notice that some of the charts were a little different than what we have in our agenda packet. Like some of the numbers are different and bus passenger, I think, was added as well for one of them.
There are some typo because it's just in rush time. For example, here, it's 2055, it's 2050.
No, I mean, there was a table that had like bus passenger on your slide, but it wasn't in what's on the.
Oh, yeah, you are right.
thing.
So this is the latest versions we have. We change every time there's an update. This is the latest version. We will get it into the database after the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is a very dynamic, we're doing this work as we speak, so, we're giving you the
So the
latest
previous
info
version is from
today.
1 week earlier, and then we get new result and other things. We get it in.
We have a question from David Gilson online, with regards to the passenger, the transit metric. If the BRT project Durham to North Hills, which just appeared in the draft STIP, were added, would that likely change the red line on Durham Freeway, I-80, 885, I-40?
Yeah, if you add a highway project or the transit project there, it may change. That's a way we want to identify the deficiency. We want not only based on this map, but all the measure identify potential final preferred projects, then solve the issues.
And the level of service used was E, right? For capacity, level of service used was E.
Yeah, for the MTP, we always use E, capacity management, E, yeah. It's daily one.
Do you think that tell me if I'm wrong or not, but do you think this is impacted by the removal of commuter rail from the model, that it would result in such a bright red line?
Impacted by commuter rail?
Well, yeah, being removed, like.
Yeah, if we have commuter rail, definitely, the door, DRX, for example, DRX volume will shift to the commuter rail.
Yeah.
So it gets this red pattern, so it may be yellow or even green, I don't know, but we need to test. We will do a multiple model run internally to see how it looks like. If you have a project you want, suggest a project you want a test run, you can try that. Internally, we do not publish to outside, but internally as technical discussion, you can run model to see how it looks like. Adding commuter rail or adding BRT.
Or even adjusting headways.
Yeah.
Or vehicle types.
Yeah, that's the number one steps, headway increase.
Start with headways and escalate.
My question had been addressed already. I was gonna ask how this is gonna be presented to the public.
Let's see, volume capacity 2055 E plus C scenario. So if I'm reading it correctly, like the red and then the dark red is at capacity or over capacity. So we're seeing.
Car traffic volume.
No, the other one, the one before that. Yeah, that one. So it's projecting standstill traffic on 40, I-85, 70, 85 for a little bit. But we're not really seeing very well the close to capacity. That's like dark blue.
Close to capacity.
Yeah, the 0.9 to 1.
0.9 to 1, right? This is a 0.9 to 1. I-40 between NC54 and this side. That's about it shows 0.92. We can change the color. I prefer yellow actually. I will ask to change it to 0.9 to 1 is yellow, just like a signal. You have a red, you have a yellow, but green we will not use it for the purpose I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, and online, it'll also have the ability to zoom in on the image. Where in a static image like this, you're not able to do that.
Well, I feel like with this one, it's kind of like downplaying the close to capacity, but I understand that over capacity is, you know.
Any suggestion for make it better? We'll take it. This map better for the public.
It's okay. It stands, the overcapacity stands out in this manner. I don't know.
I think we need some geographic like anchors on here. Like we know what we're looking at because we spend all day looking at this, right? I think the average person would look at this and maybe they could point to downtown Durham because it's, you know, the streets are denser, but I think you'd have a hard time sort of like a lay person, right? So even just the town centers and some of the key transportation corridors would be really helpful, I think.
Yeah, maybe we can include this legend. I don't know.
I have one more question. Yeah. So the highest level, the highest volume to capacity level, that's a pretty wide range. I mean, are there any VCs that are all the way up to 2.2 or is that the reason why it was used as the top of that range? Because is
it's technical related. Typically, they are not very high numbers because constrained by some mathematical function inside, you cannot go very high. But when you talk about even two, it's impossible. You never see a situation can reach two because the car is stopped there on the
Yeah.
road. So
Unless you're stacking them on top of each other
So
at some point.
So it's really just greater than.
It's really,
Just saw that the other day.
yeah, that's kind of. Maybe if it were just the top of the, maybe if it was just the top of the range of the highest capacity, whatever section of the,
So I suggest-
probably I-40, that's the highest capacity, I would say, use that instead of 2.2.
replace this number with the highest one.
I would say so, or something near it,
Or like what Doug said, just greater than 1.1.
or, yeah, that would work too.
I mean, kind of a question I have, and I appreciate Julie bringing this up is, you know, as we're looking at this, what, acknowledging that the current funding situation, are we focused on the areas that are at traffic failure, or are we anticipating that we want to pay more attention to what we're modeling that comes in around volume to capacity being equal and try to do something there? I mean, are we, you know, acknowledging that I don't think anyone, we all want mode share to increase to public transportation, or I do anyway. But I also don't want the whole world to sit in traffic. And that doesn't sound like a very appealing quality of life to me either. You know, I think we're going to need to think about, well, how do we focus limited resources on making an impact? So we can think about that as we continue to look at these maps, and we can refine the presentation. I think this is some valuable input. Definitely, and I think that will be even good input, not just for the public, but as this makes its way to the board in 2 weeks.
Could you go to the high bus trip TAZs? No, it was earlier, the TAZs.
You say, okay.
Yeah, that one. So this is just the number that have greater than 100, right? And like some TAZs are big, some TAZs are small. Can we change this to like more of a density metric, like trip per capita or something like that? But maybe made it
Yeah,
a
we can
little
do that.
more like equal, because it's like surprising that some of the places near downtown Durham don't show up, but it's probably because the TAZs are very small.
The trip number normalized by population.
I mean, do you think by population is the right?
I think that this is maybe like not the most useful map for the public. I think that most people have no idea what a TAZ is. I think that the map needs some like geographic labels. And I think, Ellen, yeah, like right now, this is sort of like everything equal, right? When we know that it's sort of not. So I don't know if there's a way to like describe what this is showing without using the word TAZ. Right? Like, I think that's
The other
just,
things we can show by stop, but the model stop.
you don't have to change the analysis. I think it's just the way we're describing it, right? Like, it's kind of a wonky term. It's like,
I mean,
people-
if it were trips per capita, like, you don't even have to use the
Yeah,
word TAZ.
right.
Everyone's not an expert in four-step drop the name off.
Well, yeah,
Here,
Monet
it
just
is.
presented to us.
Same language. That's right.
Let's have some roadway labels.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working at it, and this is good practice for us to espouse the direction we're headed. So thank you for your input.
I think it's just like, remember the audience.
This has been very good feedback. Anything else from anyone? With that, we're looking for a motion to recommend for board public release.
recommend it to the board to release it for public comments. Yeah.
Can I get a motion?
Sorry, can I just ask a clarifying question? I'm sorry. So it will be released with some of the edits that were discussed.
It's added and-
Okay,
Yeah, it sounds like they're gonna make some edits before the board meeting.
okay.
Yeah, and even
That will
then,
be helpful.
if something comes up, if there's, adjustments to make after it's released, after the board, then we'll make those and let them on.
I just want to make sure I understood.
No worries. Is that a motion, Becca?
Yes.
Again, ton shaving.
Second back, that's Tom.
Ton.
Ton.
Elephant weighs a ton. You
Ton,
don't-
okay, Ton. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you have the next item, the informational item. Oh,
Cheers first.
Destination 2055 alternatives analysis and scenarios. We're complete with the action items. This is our only informational item today.
Yes, thank you so much. So again, my name is Monet Moore. I'm with the Transportation Planning Organization. And so this is an informational item that is still talking about the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or what we refer to as Destination 2055. And so this is going to be an overview of our alternatives analysis and those scenarios within that alternatives analysis. So this image should be very familiar to you all. It's also familiar to our board, but this is that general schedule, and it highlights what phase that we're in. We're still in that analysis and evaluation phase, which means we're examining existing conditions, we're forecasting the future problems, and then we're developing and analyzing the alternative scenarios, which we're going to present to you all today. So a little bit of recap, we're trying to make sure that we're bringing information to you all on a regular basis, routine basis. So this is just a detail of the past few things either your body has seen or our board has seen. A recap, we had the board meeting on the 28th of January. We had a joint board meeting on the 29th where those alternative analysis were first reviewed by both boards for Campo and Triangle West. And so today we're going to go into a deeper dive into those for Triangle West. And then today, again, we are going to do a deeper dive of the alternatives analysis that includes the deficiency and needs that we just reviewed, plans and trends, shared leadership, and then our altogether alternative. And so I am going to hand this back over to Yao Ping, and so he can kind of walk us through those different alternatives. Thank you.
So this is same slide as a previous presentation, just pass it. It's the schedule for the technical work. For alternatives, so it's not a vision really, but it looks into different alternatives into the future for the travel demand, for the transportation supplies, and combination of this to form a scenario. That's number one is looking the land use and transportation possibilities or alternatives. Number two, the presentation will focus on looking into the future for different alternatives. We have three scenarios in alternative analysis. We will look the assumptions for each scenario. Assumption made for the land use development, assumption made for the transportation service and facility. And the preferred option is after alternative analysis. It's most likely it will a mixture of the project and the transportation transit service from these three alternatives. That's a normal situation, but special case, there are some project or service we outside this alternative service, we may add it to preferred options. This table shows different alternatives. First, it's developing foundation how you see it, a transportation demand, where the transportation demand from. So, normal standard development, high density development, you can see different assumptions there you can make. Similar thing on the top, you can see you have a rail, you have a bus, you have a car, you have a bike and ped. You can make a different assumption on this two. One is a foundation of the development, the other is a mobility investment. You see a transportation service and facility supply side. So based on different alternatives for the development and different alternatives for mobility for the transportation supply, we formed a three scenarios. This is the scenario we already talked about, deficiency analysis. We get the result. It's a baseline for the all studies and analysis for MTP. So the three scenarios in the alternative analysis is a plan and trends scenario. So this scenario and share leadership and all together. Plan and trend scenario and share leadership share similar development foundation. It's based on the community plan, based on the adopt a land use plan by communities, by municipal. So that's a basement for development foundations. For transportation, there are different assumptions. We will see details in the following slide. Trend scenario, that's for transportation, together with community plan is called plan and trend scenarios. Here, trend and community plan and trend scenarios. Trend is for the transportation supply. The next one, shared leadership, is based on the mobility corridor and community plans scenario together, combinations. The last one is opportunity place, means there will be some high density development around mobility hub and other kind of key locations. And for the transportation supply, it will be complete communities. We'll get into the details for these three scenarios here. Plan and trends. So for the development foundation, is a plan. It's generally based on the community-based adopt land use plans. So if you move up level to this land use and transportation, is investment. What kind of investment assumption you will make for this scenario plan trends? And generally, the assumptions is based on the current situation. Assume STR still in place, and the investment percent distribution to transit and bike and ped is limited. Yeah, we see some changes, but it's still not clear. So we make this assumption for the next 30 years, STR still in place. The most investment is goes to highway. The second part of this scenario is trend scenario for transportation supply. And for transit, the assumption is we will get intercity passenger rail into this scenario. Clear, we don't have a budget for the commuter rail, but the intercity passenger service is already there. There are 4 or 3 services daily from Raleigh to Charlotte and other way in both directions is already there. So we will use that one in these scenarios. We will add, this is early versions, only dorm station, that's not correct. We will add dorm station and RTP station, 2 stations for this scenario. BRT lines, we will only add Champion North-South BRT into this scenario, giving the budget limitation on the transit. Bus lines will generally follow the existing past committee scenario, but we will make some small adjustment for the service frequency based on the red maps I show, red yellow maps showing in the previous presentation. Make just as Doug mentioned, more service for the red corridors. In other words, it's very close to the existing bus committed scenarios. That's for transit. For highway, we will get a bunch of the project back from a previous MTP and previous studies. For example, for US 70, we will east, we will have a 6-lane freeway there. I-85 South 6-lane interstate is in our previous MTP actually. All this project are least there. We may make some adjustment based on the budget visibility and comments from you, comments from board member or publics. But in general, this scenario focus on the highway investment. That's a list of projects there. The first scenario, plan and train scenario. The second scenario is a shared leadership scenario. The high level investment assumption is maybe there are some limited additional budget for transportation investment. STR may have some changes for the first 10 years. STR still in place. After 10 years, next 20 years, the STR will be flexible for investment on transit and alternative transportation mode. Generally, the total investment is close to the first scenario, but the distribution limitation was removed. So the land use plan is same as the previous one, similar. So for transit this time, we will have intercity rail. We will have 3 stations. This is not correct there. Hillsborough station you added. Durham's downtown station and RTP 3 station there. So for the intercity passenger rail. For BRT, we add more BRTs. Champion North-South BRT still there. And the Durham Orange BRT lines will be added. In this scenario, it's still from the NCCU to the Champion to the Franklin Street, I think, from Transit Center and then go to Franklin Street. Generally follow 15501 corridor. It's another changes maybe for the city of Durham or county of Durham, whether they want to change the destination at the east end from NCCU to the village. It's an option there on the side. The third BRT line will from Durham station to RTP. That's 3. So the bus system is similar as a train scenario. We will make some adjustment. We introduce this BRT line. For example, Champion, you have this north-south BRT lines. The north-south bus line should be removed, and other lines may make some small change to support BRT. So we will make some change like this for the bus system. For the highway, generally, we will follow the MTP, previous MTP, with some adjustment. And also, the congestion management, we just done, there are some recommendations for safety and RTS, whether we take this into this scenario. We will, at this time, we want to take some safety improvement and RTS into this scenario. And other project adjustment. The Durham Freeway I-85 from east end connector south go to I-40. We may add HOV lines there as a new project. And the US 70 East, we will test the frontage route or parallel collector route way along the US 70 as one of the scenario. Other than the first scenario, we have 6-lane freeways. The last scenario will be altogether scenario. This one generally will not have a really strict investment constraint, and there's no distribution constraint. That means allows more budget to invest on the transit and alternative transportation mode. And this time, the development foundation is changed, not only based on adopt land use plan, but also will favor to allocate high dense the growth to the mobility hub for the TOD and affordable house anchor institution of this area to a different land use scenarios. So this time the intercity rail still same, but we will add back the regional commuter rail as what we did in the 2050 MTP. And we have 4 BRT lines in the previous MTP. We will get it back and make a adjustment for these BRTs based on our consideration, the model result, and your comments. Bus line generally based on the shared leadership with adjustment. So that's for transit. For highway, it's just 2050 MTP. 2024 congestion management process with the recommended project or strategy. And the other project, we may get this HOV lines there for Dormitory from Eastern and connector to I-40. And the US 7 East, we will use the parallel collector roadway, frontage road. That's a preliminary proposal. If any comment received or better idea, or even the US 70 phase 2 has some good ideas there, you can take it from there, incorporate into this MTP, this alternatives. It's a third scenario of and this table summarizes and comparing all the current alternatives or scenarios, precisely scenarios. So the first scenario is efficiency and need. Second is plan trend, and all 4 scenarios are there. The first rule shows amount of investment. More dollar means more investment, but all this $4 not means 4 times as a deficiency. It's not in scale, in a regional scale. It's just showing you have more investment. This $4, this $1. It's not means 4 times, but it just means more. Similar for other signs there. Highway investment, the highest investment is in the plan and train scenario. Their leadership altogether keep the same level of investment. Bus investment, the highest one is altogether because there's no real investment limitation there. BRT similar, altogether we'll get more BRT line there. Real investment, the first 3 are similar, although the number of stations may be small difference. The last one get altogether get commuter rail back to the scenario. So we have intercity past commuter rail. So we get 2 rail trains there, show more investment on the rail. Back and add investment. So the first 3 similar, and the last one altogether will get more budget. The development density is altogether, as I already mentioned, high density will happen for the mobility hub, anchor institution, and transit-oriented development. So that's the summary of the 4 scenarios. So that's all the presentation. Any questions?
Questions. So on I have a few questions. So on rail, I understand that you said intercity rails in all 3, and then commuter rail gets added back to all together. Are there any other changes to intercity rail like considered? Like I saw the Hillsborough station. There was also consideration of an RTP station, for example, or there's kind of like talk of increasing the amount of intercity rail, the whole state.
Yeah, station is just what we propose right now. First scenario, 2 station. The second is a 3 station. And that's a good question. The service frequency we may adjust it to increase it little more for the passenger rail. In the second scenario, we may or may not, we're still thinking about that. We may increase the number of service in the shared leadership for
Yeah.
intercity rail.
Well, I'd like to, we're doing that study, you know, with TPO right now, and NCDOT Rail has a bunch of projects that are looking
We
at.
can increase the frequency.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it comes to, do we think that at some level, will we be able to make the improvements that will allow for more frequent rail, regardless of whether it's intercity or commuter? I mean, widening and double tracking between Raleigh and Cary and having those grade separations. If they're not gonna happen, then you know, we can, in the model, flip the lever to increase frequency, but the reality is we're not gonna be able to have more trains.
Yeah, no, it certainly will require funding through SPOT. Durham County Transit cannot pay for that.
You're not gonna have a bake sale?
Nope.
Just gonna pay breakfast?
But I mean, that has happened. It's possible.
But we have included, I believe it in the plans and trends on the RTP station. So
Oh,
we've
the
already
RTP
added,
station is in there? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we've already figured out how to add that in. And I think also for BRT investment, we've connected sort of the Andrew Avenue or /70 connection. BRT and the more enhanced transit opportunities.
So, okay, so I guess that was the BRT, when you said 4 corridors are included?
Yeah.
Which 4 corridors?
Right now, that's preliminary proposal is North-South BRT. And the Durham Orange Carver last scenario, we intended to Carver as well for Durham Orange BRT. And the third one is Durham Station to RTP. And the last one is from Champ Hill Transit Center all the way to the RTP.
Okay. So
that's a current proposal, but it could be changed based on the suggestions. And whether we can do a express bus for US 70 corridor or just BRT, we don't know this time, but we will test some for the US 70 corridors.
there could be more local type BRT within Durham, I think, as well. And we're talking about all together, everything's on the table. Right, like Fayetteville or Roxborough or some of those like corridors that have a lot of service.
You can do a local one, whether you present it in the MTP, stand along short BRT line, or you connect with a longer BRT line in favor of the state funding. It's all up to you.
Okay. So you're asking for comments by, this is.
Comment, this is really, the whole process is, we should provide input data to my team, or land use model run, this is BRT lines and station stops. Early is better, but you could do comments scenario by scenario. If you could provide the first 2 scenario early and the last scenario a little bit late, it's okay, but the deadline set here is February 26th. I would get this earlier, maybe 24, so that you can present that comments also in the reflect this comment in the presentation in the board meetings.
Yeah, I mean, just I'll add the caveat that keep in mind that something like BRT and the way we envision it and the way it functions, the levers that would be intuitive to us are not necessarily the levers in a model that we're going to need to adjust. So BRT, adding BRT is different than just increasing service on a line, because we're going to go back and we're going to change some of the density and the land use modeling around the stops. So that's why we need the additional lead time. It's not just, there are some other matrices that are incorporated into the model that talk about premium transit options that are easy changes, but you know, we want to do a thorough job of making sure that it's in. We also can't, you know, we want to be a little decisive and move forward. So our partners on Matt's team and TPO can, you know, proceed with their work too.
Will this also be released to the public, in the next couple months?
Yes.
Okay.
April, we will release
Yeah,
the preliminary
April.
results for the three scenarios.
And we're gonna bring the test, I mean, we're testing things, right? That's what this is about. We don't know. You know, how the different projects interrelate to each other. One thing Ping and I have talked about is, you know, acknowledging that the 4085 stretch freeway just west of the merge in Orange County is our second busiest location for highway traffic projections in the region. You know, I don't know that we talked about what enhanced bus service or BRT or other premium transit connecting to Mebane and points west looks like. You know, so we're going to test out some alternatives and see what might move the needle there. You go. This is your space.
Yeah.
Email.
Thank you, Ping. On to reports from TPO staff. Doug.
But you can't tell my voice is a little shot, so I'll refrain from adding anything to my written. Thank you.
Okay. Report from technical committee chair, me. I just have one thing. I want to thank the MPO for hosting the TC retreat and all the TC members that attended that. I think that was very well received. I had a bunch of useful discussions, and I look forward to seeing a summary of that when that's ready.
We on that, we just held the board part of the retreat schedule. So we've had staff, TC, and board consultants on those summaries and how that everything together will develop some strategy, not just for where our organization is, but also in our transportation planning and give us some guidance there.
Good. Glad to hear that. NCDOT reports, Division 5.
Yeah, just one quick thing. As you all know, the STIP is out. Our drop-in session is the 24th to 28th from 8 to 5 at our offices just up the street, up the street in Durham. So feel free to stop by or just share that with other folks as well. We'd love to have some good attendance at that. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yes, on that, will that be shared, I guess, with the board and everything? Like, I know we got an email about the drop STIP, but. What got?
I think we're still unpacking it.
So, okay, so maybe the future meeting.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have the funding years,
Okay.
or if they're in there, the portion of information that was released and readily discernible. So.
All right.
More to come.
We're eager.
So are we.
But if you have specific questions that you're eager to find out answers to, that probably helps, so we can focus our investigations there.
Well, how the BRT stuff is kind of shown and spread out, because, you know, that's kind of a big question.
Yeah.
Durham to North Hills, and, you know, it's just a long corridor. But it is exciting. Those projects got funded.
We are.
All right.
Division 7.
Yeah, we're holding our draft STIP public record February 24th through the 28th, Range Road Division Office. The other thing I got is a resident engineer of the I-40 widening project provided a PowerPoint presentation, so I'll be emailing that to everybody.
Thank you.
Question, keep getting server errors. I don't know, MPO staff, I'm not able to open any of the agenda stuff, but, so I can't see the report. Can you give an update on the MLK and Crits crosswalk project? We just had another pedestrian hit near there the other day. I can't remember the number. It's the safety project. Thought it was supposed to be let, or maybe even started in January.
Don't do that in January.
I thought that's the last I saw.
January, maybe summer.
Summer now. HS 2007J.
Okay, February 6th. So let me see if that happened.
Every time I see you all.
I'll tell you, the bids don't come in good, so I just gotta make sure.
Sure. Yeah, just if an email is easier. Thank you, Jen.
Division 8.
Good afternoon, Brian Kluchar. Geron is also with us from Division 8, and the draft STIP now funds our U6192 project on US 15501 in Chatham County for preliminary engineering only. So that means the right-of-way and the let dates have been removed, and the project would be rescored in P8. And in other news, our drop-in is February 24th through 28th in Carthage. Thanks.
Thank you. Transportation Planning Division.
I just wanted to make you aware, if you haven't heard of this tool that FHWA offers, it's for value capture. A value capture implementation manual, and it's to help state and local agencies determine if this method is for them or where to start. So I'll send an email with some links to it. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Julie. Traffic Operations, John Grant, are you with us?
Hey, I'm here. I have no report.
Thanks. And Integrated Mobility Division, Reagan. Yes. Next meeting is March 11th, 2025. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Aaron. Second by Becca. All in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Y'all can be sure to sign in and you're on the sign-in sheet. That would be good. I was gonna ask you, and I totally thought like.